On this episode of Cox Connections, in January, Cox hosted a grand opening event to celebrate its new solution store at Valley View. The event included a ribbon-cutting ceremony and tour of the new facility with local elected officials and community partners. We'll see the new store location and learn how it offers easy access for customers in Roanoke's largest retail shopping area. And later, residential internet speeds 100 times faster than the average? Not a dream, but a reality. And Cox offers it right here in Roanoke. We'll learn about GigaBlast. But coming up first, on your next outing for a movie at the Grandin Theatre, you will likely notice new renovations to its front entrance. We'll hear why the staff and board of the theater are enthusiastic about this upgrade and more. Stay tuned, Cox Connections is next.
The economic impact of sports in our region is just incredible, just like the tourism industry.
It's really another way to help people with their personal finances. How do you save that money? How do you grow that money?
It started with a lot of community input, and that's something that we're very, very proud of.
What we've noticed is children who enter kindergarten ready to learn do much better down the road.
Grandin Co-Lab is a hub for idea generation, what we like to call ideation.
Welcome to Cox Connections, a link between you, our customers, and what's happening in the community we share. I'm Jeff Merritt, Market Vice President for Cox Roanoke. In 1932, when the Grandin Theatre first opened its doors, tickets were just 25 cents for adults and 10 cents for children. The Grandin Theatre was the first theater in Roanoke to have talking pictures. It has seen its share of changes over the years, from being a cinema for 40 years to housing plays like The Sound of Music, and it has undergone several renovations, closings, and reopenings. Today, it's operated by the Grandin Theatre Foundation and is undergoing renovations to its front entrance, and in recent years has been repurposed as a cultural community center. On the show today, to talk to us about it, are the Grandin Theatre's Executive Director, Ian Fortier, and Board Member, Liz Lively. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, it's great to be here.
Thanks for coming in. And Ian, I understand you've been with the Grandin Theatre for about 18 months or so now. So maybe we can start off with just telling us what's been happening in the last couple of years.
Sure. Well, I came over from the Jefferson Center in summer of 2014. And there were a lot of similarities between the Grandin Theatre Foundation and the Jefferson Center, so it was a nice fit for me, and I've really enjoyed being in the Grandin Village. Mm-hmm. The first thing to do was really just roll up your sleeves and learn how the film industry works in a local arts and cultural organization. Mm-hmm. So that was a good chunk of the first part of the first year. And then we really started focusing on, finding why we do what we do and how we can make it better. Mm-hmm. I think one of the most important things is trying to replicate the experience. So we really started focusing on how the Grandin Theatre was operating, not just from a patron's point of view, but from from people who manage it. How's it working for the staff? How is it working for the board? How is it working for the people responsible for ensuring that the bills were being paid, the hands were being shaken, the relationships were being built in the village and out in the community as well. So there was a lot of learning curve, but it's pretty steep. When you're open 365 days a year, you learn pretty quickly about how that goes.
And so tell us a little bit about that from a community perspective. I mean, you're out there, you're finding out about the experiences that people have mm-hmm. in the theater, and certainly about the staff. Mm-hmm. What did you learn? What were the big? So
there was a lot of impressions about the Grandin Theatre because it's an 84-year-old building, and quite frankly, Jeff, it's a cultural icon. I mean, it's the last remaining independent nonprofit cinema that we have, and the silver screen and film it's an American industry. It really is. I mean, I think we're the only place in the world that actually has a city dedicated to filmmaking. So, learning about how people interact and how they want to interact, and whether or not there's a discrepancy between how they feel about it and what they want to feel about it, was part of the first part of putting your finger on the pulse to see what was happening. And I think there's a lot of impressions that the community had, that we learned that the Grandin was this kind of sleepy little independent cinema with dust in the corners, and movies might not start on time, or there was a certain lack of reliability about it because you could be that way because you weren't this international corporately owned box theater where things were happening and humming quite along. So learning that there was sort of an impression that the way that the theater could work and operate, in our opinion, was better, cleaner, more consistent, you know, and that helps with advertisers. It helps with patrons, that when they're showing up and wanting to see a movie start on time, that it starts on time. If an advertiser is paying money to put their slide on screen, that it's there, that the staff are happy, that the popcorn smells good, that the music is on, and being able to replicate that experience was something that we really focused on in the beginning to see where we were at and where we wanted to be, because I think that's the core base foundation for being able to build on top of that. The movie industry is a little bit different from, say, the restaurant business, where you eat and then you pay and you decide whether or not you want to tip or have a conversation about how good your food was. You give us your money before you even walk through the door. So people are almost investing in that experience, and we wanted to make sure that we focused really fast and really quickly and really diligently on making sure that that experience was replicated on a regular basis.
Gotcha. Now, you all are supported by the Grandin Theatre Foundation.
That's correct.
And Liz, you're a new board member there,
Yep.
so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
What attracted you to the foundation? What made you want to be a board member?
Well, many years ago, I did live in the Grandin Village, and it is by far, in my opinion, just a unique place. You've got the houses that are just fabulous with the history. You have the streets that are beautiful, the restaurants, the activities, and the overall community. And so I always loved the area. Now, you know, moved out when I had a child, and had the chance to meet with Ian at the later part of last year, and we were talking about some of the opportunities for the upcoming few years, and I kind of spoke about my love for the area, and especially the Grandin Theater, because of the historic piece of it. When you walk in, it's not been redone like a brand new movie theater. It's a piece of history, and it has artwork that's hundreds of years old, and the building is just fabulous. And then it was, do you want to join the board? And I didn't know that that was the question that was coming. I was very honored, very humbled, and kind of like, are you sure you want me to be on the board? Like, I'm nobody, you know. And it's been phenomenal. It's been a wonderful experience, and to know what we're working on and where we want to go in the next 3 to 5 years is incredible. His vision for the theater and some of the ways to get the community involved, I think, are just outstanding. And so it's fun to be a part of it. I mean, it's fun.
It certainly sounds exciting, and I mentioned earlier the cultural community center aspect of this. Ian, what do we mean by that?
So, you know, the theater and the foundation are fantastic ways to approach running a building like this, to have a nonprofit sort of background, because you have the ability at that point to involve people in ways that you wouldn't unless, you know, if you were just selling tickets and concessions from a for-profit point of view. This building, as I mentioned before, is a cultural icon. It's the historic and geographic and economic anchor for Grandin Village, which is one of the oldest commercial districts in America. And the ability to look at the facility in ways that aren't just for movies. And don't get me wrong, Jeff, our goal is to make sure that we are the best first-run, multi-screen, independent, nonprofit cinema that we can be. That is our focus. We are a movie house. But I think that when we started talking to the board about being more than just a movie theater, about utilizing the facilities in ways that weren't just about showing films, we started talking about the potential and the capabilities of the building. And when we look at it from that perspective, from a cultural community center perspective, we now start thinking about weddings, and we start, you know, doing church services, and we start having birthday parties and educational matinees. I think last year we had upwards of 2,500 kids come through our doors when the theater was dark to have a cinematic educational experience. School buses lined up Grandin Avenue. So when you repurpose the building as a cultural community center, you put yourself in a position where people start coming to you to say, can we do this, and can we do that, and can we do this? And we simply position ourselves to say, yes, this is your facility. Right. This is about to be an 85-year-old building. It's the last one of its kind. It's a historic landmark. And if you want to use it and you're part of our community, come and let us know how, and we'll go out of our way to make sure that you can.
That's great.
And that's in addition to what we do as a first-run movie theater. So the beauty of that is it allows people to come into the building for an art show, for an event that has community relevance. We do lots of rentals for nonprofit organizations that want to use a film to have a poignant discussion or a panel discussion about what their mission is and how it affects the Roanoke community. It puts people in the building for all sorts of different reasons, and we get to generate revenue through those diversified streams that help go right into making sure that the foundation is sustainable for the future.
Perfect. That's great. Well, it sounds like it's way more than just a movie. It's experience. It's an experience in general, and a great way to give back to the community. And so thank you both for joining me today. I appreciate you coming in.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
For more information about the Grandin Theater and to browse the calendar of events and movie show times, visit grandintheater.com. Stay with us, more Cox Connections after the break.